Have you ever wanted to create your very own Pokemon world, complete with unique towns, routes, and landmarks? In today's video, we're going to dive deep into the exciting world of custom map creation. Whether you're a beginner or just looking to polish your map editing skills, this tutorial will walk you through the basics of using Porymap, the powerful map editor for Pokemon ROM hacks. From adding trees and signs to designing pathways and ledges, you'll learn everything you need to start bringing your creative visions to life. In this video, we'll cover downloading and setting up Porymap, opening your project and navigating the editor, using basic tools to expand the starter town and add new features, and finally compiling your changes and seeing them come to life in the game. By the end of this video, you'll have a custom map ready to explore and the confidence to start designing more advanced areas on your own. Before we dive in, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more Pokemon ROM hacking tutorials and tips, as well as updates for my project, Pokemon Centennial. In the last video, we covered basic scripting in Visual Studio Code, and in this one, we'll cover basic map editing using Porymap. To find Porymap, you can just search it into Google, and you want to get this first GitHub page by Hutterlem. Like usual with these GitHub pages, the best place to start is to take a look at the README files down here. Kind of tell you a little bit of everything that you need to know about whatever app or thing you're downloading. For this in Porymap, it'll let us know that it's a map editor for the Gen 3 decomp projects, PokeRuby, PokeEmerald, that includes the expansion, and PokeFire Red. I think the best place to get started is looking at this online guide. It contains a lot of info. We'll be covering a lot of it here, so if you want a typed out version, this is another good place to look at. You can get the introduction, how to get started, how to navigate around Porymap, different options with editing map tiles, editing the collisions, which we'll talk about later, map events, just kind of anything you would need to do is very useful starting out and still reference it, go back to it every now and then as well. To download it, if you are on Mac or Windows, you can just go to the Releases tab here and you can download whichever file you want. It'll load up. If you're on Linux, you will have to go through the install.markdown process and compile it from the source code. But if you're on Mac or Windows, you can download it here. Once you have Porymap downloaded, we can go ahead and open that one up and we'll see what we need to look at, how to open up the project, what it looks like when you first get into it. Sometimes it'll take a little bit to load. But here we go. We are in, you can see we're in Little Root Town right here. Usually when you go up, since I've opened it before, it'll start you at Petalburg City, but it'll ask you, you can open a project and make sure you're in the right folder. So I know I'm in my games, in my tutorial, the PokeEmerald expansion. I'm going to open that. It'll ask you which game version are we in, and I want to say I'm in PokeEmerald because it's the PokeEmerald expansion project. And that will open it up. Everything is good here. We'll just take a quick look around Porymap to start. You'll always be under the map thing first. This will show what the actual map is doing. On this left-hand side will be all the different town maps. That'll kind of go along with all of these things that we looked at last time in the data maps and all of these. So each map will have a script setting that goes with it. We can start here looking at Petalburg City. You can see this is the map here. We can turn off the border and you can actually see this is all the stuff that we can work with the map. I don't like that. I tend to do the grid on. So you can see this is the available space. The border is right here, so that just replicates whatever. So let's say I want it to be no trees. I can fill out all 4 different tiles. And here we go. Now the border, anything that isn't on other maps and on other connections, anything past our defined space that we're working with is going to be whatever's in that border. So I'm going to actually Control Z and put that all back. We're going to actually look into the starting town. So we're going to go down to Little Root Town. You can see I love having this grid on. Sometimes I'll turn the grid off if I just want to see what the map will look like sort of in the game. But then the grid's on. Right now I have, it's called, I think it's the view, and it's the player view rectangle. So it's, in this case it's V. I have that clicked on so you can see if your player's on the space where the tile you'd be filling in with, The outer box is what your player will be able to see on the screen. So you can see if you're at your front door, won't be able to see the other person's house, be able to see the sign to their house. Another cool thing to do, you can look at the events tab. This will show you, hey, this is where all the different people objects are, sign objects. W's are warp objects, so that's how you get to different maps, like using doors. There's H for heal spots. This one's a little trickier to go, but it's not bad. So you can see there's object, warps. Triggers is when you land on that tile. If the variable is the right thing, it'll trigger the one script. So that's how you do a bunch of the scripts of, oh, I want this player to move once I get this tile. Then we go to header. This just kind of gives the weather's always sunny. You can change some of this if you want to allow biking, allow dig and escape. That's for like caves and buildings. But that's a little bit of stuff you can change. And then there's the connections tab, which says, hey, what other routes what other maps does this map connect to? So you can see here, Little Root Town connects to Route 101. And if you actually double click on that, you'll go to Route 101 map. And you can see this one has two connections. There's Little Root Town, which is down below. And then above there's Oldale Town. If we look in here, we can always also go to Wild Pokemon. You see this is the list of all the encounters. The encounter rates are set. You work with it there. If you want more encounters to happen when you go through the grass, you can click up on the encounter rate. If you want less encounters, you can click down. Then you have the min and max level, and it's always species underscore whatever Pokemon. Other routes will have water mons, rock fast mons, and fishing mons. This one doesn't. We're going to go back to connections and double click back to Little Root. And we will go back to map. So that's this kind of big main tab. The pencil is just typical brush fill. That's a pointer, it does nothing. The bucket fill will fill everything at the same type. Let's say I want to bucket fill the whole town into grass. I need to click on bucket fill first. All of that is now grass. I'm going to undo those changes because we don't have any wild Pokemon there. And the grass would kind of look silly, so I'm going to undo that. But that's how the bucket fill would work. The eyedropper, I haven't done that. I just go to the pencil. Usually if I want to copy, you can see at the top of the selection bar, that's what you have selected. If I wanted to copy this, I'd right click and it would copy that. You can also right click and drag, and I can copy this whole house. So then I could just put this whole house right in there. Another important thing to know in this tab, I guess on this side you can see all the tile sets. So for General and Petalburg, there's a bunch of different ones. You can see Sutopolis has General Sutopolis, and you get a different set of tiles. But we'll go back to Little Root. You can see there's a lot of stuff. The Pokemon Centers, it's the pretty basic. You can do almost anything you want here. The next biggest thing is the collision spot. This is how you tell where you cannot walk through. 3 is kind of the base. This is where everything starts. If you want to add some water, we can go to Route 102 has some water. You can see surfing is the waves. One thing to note, you can only get onto the water from level 3. So if you want to separate, I think Sutopolis City might be a good one. I guess that one has all 3s, so it doesn't do a ton, but that's typically how you can, going up in the levels, you can go up in that. I don't know if a ton of maps have it. You can see there's water 3s, and these X's are, hey, you can't walk over the X's. That's pretty self-explanatory. And then these are transition tiles, which if you look into some of the caves, let's do Route 116, you'll have a transition tile in the cave door. So if we turn off that, this spot will be the cave door. You can look at the collisions, it'll have a transfer tile. This is another one's good. You can see on this step right here that we have a transition tile, and then we actually go up to level 4, which is kind of cool. And then you have another transition on the step up, and we go to level 5. So that's really good. A lot of times you'll just be building out your map, clicking on new things, and you will forget to do collision tiles, and suddenly you'll be able to walk through trees or walk over the water, forgetting to do that. So Going to this collision tile is always nice. There's prefabs. I don't have any. I don't want those, so I'm just going to go back. I typically just go on meta tiles, and collision kind of does whatever we want. We'll go back to Little Root Town, and we're going to actually expand on this town a little bit, the starting town. So this set size, I'm not going to count on it. You can actually go to change dimensions, and right now we are 20 tiles by 20 tiles. So let's say we want to make this double the width. We're going to go to 40 tiles. This is how you change the map size, and click OK. And here we go. We have a whole extra width side of this. I'm going to go into the just standard grass form, and I'm going to bucket fill this whole thing. And now here we go. We're all grass, and I'm going to save that. Changes won't make until you compile, but in case your computer crashes, I always save all the time. But there we go. We can look at that. Let's say we want to keep these, or we want to copy these trees. Actually, collision, you can see right here. I'm going to change all our collision to 3 and then go back. I'm going to go back to the pencil tool, and I want to copy just this group of trees. I want to right click and copy these groups of trees, and I want to put a couple trees this way, and then maybe we'll do this set of tree, and you want to go up because there's the little bits of the tree. So I'm going to go here, and then I just want this level to be where it is. So I'm going to do that. And now we're good. When you do copy, it copies over the collisions. So now I wanted to add it there. So that's the one nice thing with copying. But now let's say we want to put a path. So without smart paths filled in, if you put a path, it just puts that path in exactly how it looks for different paths. Or if you do look at like a rock, but if you click smart paths and we still have this whole path outline suggested, let's say I want to build a path here, you can just drag it along and it'll smartly create the path for you. So if we look off the grid, that just looks like a normal path that could be possible in the game. I'm going to turn the grid back on. I like keeping smart paths on. Typically, if I just want one corner, I'll just click just one corner of it. So let's see. Let's actually get rid of that path. Let's see. I want to make... Let's just copy this, and we're going to drag it along. There we go. I always double check. Collisions are still on there. So now we have a top layer up there. Our border is just trees. It fits well with that map. Let's say we want to make a little hill. You could copy and do all of this, and here we go, made a little hill. It looks a little funky right there, so I'm going to go to this in corner, and we're on 1, and that looks pretty much like a hill. Let's say I want to be able to stand on the hill. I can replace this and do that. So then these collision tiles, I want this one to be an upper level, so we'll do the transition, and then we will do 4 for we will make these all 4s. If it's a bigger, I will just do the outline and then do it. And then we want to make sure you can't walk on these side walls. So we will just put some X's there so we can't walk on them. We do the 4 here just so we can't jump off or walk off. It kind of creates the different ledge so you just can't fall off. But now here we have this how you would want it within the game. I'm going to save it again. So now we added this. Let's say maybe we want to add a little ledge up here. We can add the ledge, and let's just add it right here. And I'm going to find, these are the ledge ends, and we're going to go right there. Let's look at the collision. I want to see, hey, what does Route 101 do with the ledges? Okay, they put X's over the ledges. Cool. You can see there, when it's red, you have unsaved changes. So that's another helpful thing to note. You don't want any changes. So let's say, all right, we created a ledge there. Cool. Maybe we want to do a little pond in this corner so we can see what that looks like. There's kind of sea options. You can put trees over the sea or over the edges. Gets a little finicky there. But let's say I want to do this nice light pond. Let's do a corner there. Oh, I want to actually just do this. I'm going to do a small little one there. Here's an edge here. Let's make it one more down. We'll do 2 edges there. The middle of the water's here. And then, let's see, how do we do it? It should be this tile up at the top closes off. So if we turn off the grid and look, hey, it just looks like a little pond. I'm going to turn the grid back on, and we're going to go to our collision, and we're going to make sure we get all of the water with our little cool water tile. If you have like rocks in the water, that's what this little red water tile would be. You can see like in, I think it's Route 119. I guess, yeah, or I guess you can just put on the X's. You can kind of do either. They have both on this route for whatever reason, but that's just showing you can't go on any of these. Kind of cool. These tiles right down at the bottom are useful for bridges that we're going to walk on and under. Like you can see on this map, you know, you can walk over the bridge or you can walk under the bridge. So that's what we'd use, this kind of cross arrow tile set for the collisions. We'll go back to Little Root Town. Let's say we want to make some trees. So let's just add, I don't know, let's add a couple random trees here. Make it look good. Actually, I want to make a bunch of big trees. How do we do this? Oh, we do, there we go. That doesn't look good. I think I want this one. I don't know. I forget how we do this. There is a way. We're just going to actually keep it just a one row of little trees. That's something I always forget what it is. You can see here. Let's say we want to add a sign and say this is some monument. We can add a sign space here, and you want to be able to add an X there. We'll go cover into actually making that sign say something later. But let's just say we want that sign there. Let's add, you know, a couple random things there. And let's say we want to add a character to stay there. Let's say we want the character to stand up top, and we potentially would want them to say something. So we can do, let's go to objects, and you can just, right now it's adding a new trigger. We want to add a new object. Let's have it stand right here. Let's change it to, I don't know, it can be Archie. And let's say right now movement type none will always be face down. We can have him face down, or we can have him face left, face right, face movement type player. But let's say we wanted him to face up right now. This one will do nothing. Like we talked about before, we remembered the Birch ID was 8. We can go back down to object 8, and you can say, hey, oh yeah, that's local ID Birch. So if we wanted to do something for this character on the script, for this new Archie character we found, it'd be character 9, or object ID 9. We could enter it. Let's see, we could enter it way back here. We can say set local ID Archie as 9, and we can do that if we want. It's just a little callback. But let's see, I want to see Archie's face when we do this. So let's just say we want him to face down, and we'll just leave him there. Let's say we want to add a little kid or something up here running to see. So we can do a new object. Let's move the kid up to here. Let's just type in kid. School kid. That works. Good enough. And we want their movement type. You can wander around, wander left and right. But we want them to, let's say, walk left and right. It always starts this way, so it's going to walk left first. If you right click, starting at a point, you get a ruler. So let's say we want him to walk all the way to here. He went left 7. We can do down 7, and if we do left 6, down 6, you can do that. But we just want him to walk left and right between here. So let's just say 7. So if we do nothing here, we can say his movement radius X, so that's left and right. We want him to be able to move 7. We don't want to have him move up and down. If we want a script later, we can put a script later. But that's how you'd add different objects like that. If you want him to do a trainer, you can do normal, sees in all directions, buried. The site, so if it is going to do a trainer type, the site is how many spaces they can see away. So we can look at Route 102. You have this trainer right here. He's trainer type normal. and you can see 3 spaces. So if you click on him, you can go 1, 2, 3, so he sees all the way. You can't get past him. This character, his sight's also 3, so you can go 1, 2, 3 spaces, so he can potentially see you starting at that space, but that's why you can move around him and kind of alter him. This character, they're facing down and right. They have normal, they can see 3, so they can either see 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3 spaces away. Kind of good to know. So let's go back into our little root town. Let's see, we'll go back to just the map part instead of that. Now you can't see any events. Let's just take a look and see what it looks like. We're going to save one final time. And we can go back into our scripts.inc or into whatever terminal you want. With this one, I do recommend using the nproc, or if you're on Mac, it's this systol minus nhw and CPU, basically saying how many computers do you have available. I ran this before. It said 8. I'm going to run it again. And then we can make it here, and this will run, and I'll come back when we get back. All right, so this one took a little bit longer. The makes typically take a little bit longer when doing map update changes. We can see we're all done. So let's take a look and actually open up our ROM and see if we can see any of these changes. I'm going to do speed up just to get through this stuff, and I did a little save, just saved right after you did like the little interview with the TV. But here we can see, here's little root town like normal, but then we go to the right, and hey, this is the new section of the map we made. You can see it's a little big for the size, so that's what that kind of player screen tool kind of sees. You see we can't go behind those. This guy's moving left and right. Right now we don't have anything, nothing happens when you talk to him. But then you can jump down this ledge. We can't jump back up. So that looks good. You can see our other things we did here. We can't walk through anything that we're not supposed to walk through. Those work. This sign, we can't walk through it, but we have nothing attached to it, so we can't, nothing shows up when we press the A button. We can't surf on the water. We can see the Archie is here facing this way, and then we can't jump off this back ledge since we made it from 4 to 3. So everything looks kind of just how we did it. If we take one more look at what it looks like in Porymap, you can see, all right, if we're standing on this tile, we should be able to see this whole bottom left tree. That's a little off, but yeah, hey, we see this whole bottom left tree right there, so that works good. So that you can see this player visualization works. But yeah, we can see for the most part, the map looks just like how we wanted it to be. We can go and add more things if we want. Really, you can make the world of what you want it to be. You can change up tile sets. You can get more into that later. But for now, you should be able to go, and with the basic little scripting knowledge you know, in the next video, we'll talk about PoryScript to make the scripting even easier. But now that you know the basic scripting, know how to do the basic map editing changes, you can go ahead and start tinkering around, messing around, making your visions come to life with whatever you want to do in your ROM.